Imagine waking up tomorrow. Your entire digital life is gone. The internet, the cloud, dead. This isn't science fiction. It's the terrifying possibility we ignore every day. It's not sci-fi. It's plausible. A digital doomsday that could shatter our banks, break our supply chains, erase our memories, and plunge us into a new dark age. The full story, a special ATM documentary. Watch now.
They report the chaos. We reveal the agenda.
Good evening, and welcome to ATM. Imagine waking up tomorrow and your entire digital life, photos, emails, bank accounts, is gone. What if the internet, the cloud, every server just died? Every screen is black. This isn't science fiction. It's a terrifying possibility we're hurtling towards. Get ready to confront the ultimate digital doomsday. This isn't just about losing your social media. It's about the fundamental systems that underpin our modern existence collapsing. Stop for a moment and consider your life, right now, in October 2025. How much of it truly exists outside the digital realm? From the moment you wake up, your day is orchestrated by unseen networks. Your smart home adjusts the temperature. Your news feed is curated by algorithms. You pay for your morning tea, not with cash, but with a tap of your phone using Apple Pay and Google Pay. This digital convenience is now deeply ingrained. Students use online learning platforms, connecting with knowledge globally. Smart city sensors manage utilities, optimizing everything from traffic flow to waste management. Our banking is almost entirely digital, facilitating transactions across continents with a few clicks. Global supply chains rely on constant data flow, ensuring goods reach us efficiently. Our healthcare systems store critical records in the cloud, enabling rapid access to vital patient information. This digital infrastructure is the backbone of modern medicine. Even vital infrastructure, power grids, water systems, emergency services, is managed by complex, interconnected digital control systems. These systems are the silent guardians of our daily lives. We have, without fully realizing it, tethered our entire civilization to an invisible, fragile web. This web, while powerful, is also incredibly vulnerable to disruption. We talk about the cloud as if it's some ethereal, magical place, but it's not. The cloud is millions of physical servers housed in colossal, energy-guzzling data centers. These centers are connected by hundreds of thousands of miles of undersea fiber optic cables. It has a physical reality, a vulnerable one, despite its abstract name. Experts estimate global data center energy consumption now rivals that of entire countries like the United Kingdom. This immense power demand underscores their physical footprint. This physical infrastructure, the servers, the cables, the power plants that feed them, is the Achilles heel of our digital age. It's a single point of failure for our interconnected world. It's concentrated, it's complex, and it's shockingly fragile. A single point of failure in this vast network could have catastrophic ripple effects. We take this system for granted. It works almost flawlessly, almost all the time. This very reliability has bred a dangerous complacency. We assume the lights will always stay on, the data will always flow. This unquestioning faith in technology leaves us unprepared for potential disruptions. We have built a world entirely dependent on a system whose fundamental vulnerabilities we barely understand, let alone prepare for. This lack of foresight is our greatest weakness. But what happens when the invisible tether snaps? What are the real-world events that could trigger the Great Unplugging? Next, we explore the terrifyingly plausible scenarios that could plunge us into a data dark age to understand the full scope of this looming threat. How could it happen? How could our entire digital world simply die? It wouldn't necessarily take an alien invasion or a Hollywood apocalypse. The collapse of our digital world doesn't require a dramatic, cinematic event. Instead, the triggers could be far more subtle, yet equally devastating. The terrifying truth is, the triggers could be far more mundane, far more plausible, and already lurking just beneath the surface of our hyper-connected reality. A cascade of failures could begin with something as seemingly simple as a severed undersea cable, setting off a chain reaction across the interconnected digital landscape. This is part 2, the Great Unplugging. The most likely trigger is a sophisticated, coordinated cyber attack. We're not talking about ransomware hitting a hospital. We're talking about a nation-state or a highly advanced non-state actor targeting the core infrastructure of the internet itself. This goes beyond typical ransomware attacks, aiming at the foundational systems of the internet. Malicious code could infiltrate and disable core internet infrastructure nodes, causing the internet's interconnected web to fray and disconnect. Think of the domain name system servers that act as the internet's phone book, translating human-readable domain names into IP addresses, or the border gateway protocol that routes global traffic, ensuring data reaches its destination. A successful attack on these foundational systems would have catastrophic consequences, disrupting the very fabric of our digital communication. A successful attack on these foundational systems wouldn't just take down websites. It could make vast swathes of the internet simply unreachable, triggering cascading failures across dependent systems. News headlines from October 2025 detail escalating cyber attacks on power grids and financial systems, highlighting the growing threat. Cybersecurity experts warn that a cyber Pearl Harbor is not a matter of if, but when. It's no longer a question of if a catastrophic infrastructure attack will occur, but when. The near-miss cyber attacks on critical infrastructure have become alarmingly frequent. Experts warn that the sophistication of state-sponsored hacking groups has reached a point where a cyber Pearl Harbor is a tangible threat. These attacks can disrupt internet access, financial systems, and military communications, posing a significant threat to global stability. The interconnected web of the internet further disintegrates under the intensifying malicious code, emphasizing the fragility of our digital world. But the threat doesn't just come from human malice. It comes from the heavens. Our sun, the source of all life, is also capable of unleashing immense bursts of energy, known as coronal mass ejections. These powerful solar events can have profound effects on Earth, far beyond what we might typically imagine. A powerful Earth-directed CME could trigger a geomagnetic storm so intense it could fry satellites in orbit and induce devastating electrical currents in our power grids on the ground. These storms can disrupt radio signals, navigation systems, and power grids, potentially leading to widespread blackouts. Satellites in orbit are shown short-circuiting, emitting sparks, and tumbling out of control, illustrating the immediate impact of such an event. Scientists at NASA and NOAA continuously monitor solar activity. While a Carrington-level event, like the one in 1859, is rare, it is statistically inevitable. The current solar cycle is predicted to peak soon, increasing the risk. The Carrington event caused telegraph systems to fail and auroras to be seen as far south as the Caribbean. A similar event today could have catastrophic consequences, plunging continents into darkness as power transformers explode in a chain reaction. In our hyper-reliant digital age, a direct hit could mean the simultaneous loss of satellites, the power grid, and therefore the internet infrastructure that depends on them. This would lead to a global view of Earth, initially illuminated by city lights and digital networks, gradually darkening as the power grid failures spread. The interconnected digital lines across the globe would flicker and die, emphasizing the widespread loss of connectivity and the profound impact on modern society. But the scariest scenario isn't necessarily a single massive blow. It's cascading failure. Our systems are now so complex and interconnected that a failure in one area can trigger an unpredictable chain reaction. This complex animation illustrates interconnected systems, a power grid, internet backbone, financial markets, and logistics, represented by intricate networks of lines and nodes. A single point of failure, such as a power plant exploding with a red flash, can initiate a devastating cascade. Imagine a localized but severe power grid failure in a region hosting critical data centers. Those centers go offline. Financial transactions fail. This triggers automated sell-offs in the stock market. Panic spreads. The animation shows the failure spreading like a virus from the initial power plant explosion. Connected nodes representing data centers, financial systems, and logistics networks begin to fail, turning from bright white to ominous red, then dark, as the system unravels rapidly. A targeted attack on a few key undersea cables could sever intercontinental communication, isolating entire regions. The failure points are numerous, the interdependencies infinite. The animation continues to show the entire system collapsing, with more and more nodes failing, until the once complex network is largely dark and disconnected. This visual metaphor highlights the extreme fragility of our interconnected systems and the potential for widespread disruption. The system is a marvel of complexity, but that complexity is also its greatest vulnerability. In the next part, we will confront the immediate, terrifying aftermath: society without screens. A final, chilling shot of a world map, initially covered in glowing, interconnected digital lines, shows these lines flickering and dying one by one, spreading across the map until it is plunged into almost complete darkness, leaving a sense of profound loss and uncertainty. The unthinkable has happened. The Great Unplugging. Whether by cyberattack, solar flare, or cascading failure, the digital world is dark. The screens are black. What happens now? What does day one look like in a society suddenly stripped of its digital nervous system? The answer is chaos. The first casualty is finance. Without digital networks, the global financial system simply ceases to exist. Stock markets freeze mid-trade. Credit cards and digital payments are useless. ATMs are dead. Banks cannot verify balances or process transactions. According to a hypothetical analysis by the Bank for International Settlements, a total digital blackout lasting even 48 hours could trigger a liquidity crisis, leading to the collapse of major financial institutions globally. Supply chains grind to a halt. Food stops reaching cities. Fuel deliveries cease. Emergency services, reliant on digital dispatch and communication, struggle to coordinate. Hospitals lose access to patient records. Diagnostic equipment fails. It is a rapid descent into systemic failure. Beyond the societal chaos is the deeply personal catastrophe, the loss of our digital lives. Think about it. Your photos, your videos, your emails, your documents, your creative work. Where do they truly exist? For most of us, they exist only on servers, scattered across the globe in the cloud. When the cloud evaporates, decades of collective and personal memory could vanish in an instant. It would be a cultural cataclysm, a great forgetting on an unimaginable scale. Not just memories, but vital information, scientific research, financial records, government archives, potentially lost forever. And then there is the psychological impact. We are creatures of connection, and our primary connection to the world is now digital. What happens when that is severed? instant, profound isolation. Imagine being unable to contact loved ones just a city away, let alone across the globe. Rumors spread like wildfire in the absence of verified information. Panic buying, hoarding, and social breakdown become immediate threats. Sociologists studying disaster scenarios warn that the loss of communication and reliable information is the single biggest catalyst for societal collapse. We would be plunged into a state of fear, uncertainty, and profound disorientation. The immediate shock has passed, but the profound silence that follows is deafening. A stark reminder of the sudden void left by the digital world. The screens, once vibrant with information and connection, remain utterly black, reflecting nothing but the new, unsettling reality. Society has fractured into countless isolated fragments, each grappling with the aftermath. Now comes the hardest, most daunting question of all. Can we possibly rebuild from this unprecedented collapse? Or are we destined to remain in the rubble of our former technological glory? What does the long-term future truly look like in a world stripped bare of its intricate digital infrastructure, where the very fabric of modern life has unraveled? Is a new dark age, characterized by a profound loss of knowledge and connectivity, an inevitable consequence of this global digital blackout? The scale of the challenge is almost unimaginable, a task so monumental it defies easy comprehension. Rebuilding the global internet infrastructure, the vast network of satellites orbiting Earth, the intricate web of undersea cables spanning oceans, the massive data centers that once stored our collective knowledge, and the complex power grids that fueled it all. Without the sophisticated digital tools we once used to design, manage, and maintain them, would be an endeavor akin to trying to construct a towering skyscraper, using only rudimentary hand tools and sheer willpower. Manufacturing complex components like advanced microchips, the very brains of our digital devices, would be nearly impossible without the specialized automated processes that rely on digital control. Consequently, global coordination, once seamless and instantaneous, would collapse entirely, severing the ties that bound nations together. In this new reality, nations would inevitably turn inward, their focus shifting from global cooperation to self-preservation. They would be forced to rely solely on whatever dwindling resources, existing infrastructure, and fragmented knowledge remained within their own isolated borders, leading to a profound geopolitical shift. Experts in complex systems collapse. Those who have studied the fragility of interconnected societies argue convincingly that the interdependencies within our global digital ecosystem are so deeply ingrained and pervasive that a full recovery, if it ever happens, could realistically take not just years, but many generations to achieve, fundamentally altering the course of human development. In the profound vacuum left by the digital collapse, society would likely revert to more localized, analog systems, a stark contrast to our recent past. Shortwave radio, once a relic of a bygone era, might suddenly become the primary and most reliable means of long-distance communication, connecting isolated communities across vast distances. Local communities, cut off from global supply chains and digital commerce, would be compelled to become entirely self-sufficient in terms of food production and the provision of basic goods. This necessity would likely lead to the widespread reemergence of barter economies, where goods and services are exchanged directly without the need for currency or digital transactions. However, it is crucial to understand that this is not a romantic return to a simpler, idyllic time. In this new, fragmented world, information, once abundant and freely accessible, would become the scarcest and most incredibly valuable commodity, a powerful tool for control and survival. Those who control the remaining fragments of knowledge the few engineers who still remember how complex systems functioned, the communities fortunate enough to possess functioning libraries filled with physical books, and the resourceful groups capable of maintaining local communication networks, would wield immense and unprecedented power, shaping the future of their regions. From this power vacuum, new, potentially harsh and authoritarian hierarchies would inevitably emerge, challenging the very foundations of democratic governance and individual liberty. This terrifying thought experiment, while unsettling, is not presented as a prophecy of what will happen, but rather as a critical and urgent warning of what could happen if we remain unprepared. It serves as a stark and undeniable reminder of the invisible, yet incredibly strong threads that intricately hold our modern world together, and just how easily and catastrophically they could break, plunging us into an unforeseen future. The profound lesson to be learned from this scenario is not to abandon technology entirely, but rather to proactively build resilience into our systems. This means investing heavily in robust, decentralized systems that are less vulnerable to single points of failure and more adaptable to disruption. It also means maintaining comprehensive analog backups for all critical infrastructure and essential information, ensuring that vital knowledge persists even without digital access. Furthermore, we must foster widespread digital literacy and critical thinking skills, empowering individuals to navigate both the immense promise and the inherent peril of our increasingly online existence with wisdom and foresight. Our digital world, with its incredible interconnectedness and vast capabilities, is undoubtedly a miracle of human ingenuity and collaboration. However, like all powerful and transformative creations, it demands our constant vigilance, careful stewardship, and a deep understanding of its vulnerabilities to ensure its continued benefit to humanity. We must appreciate the invisible tether that binds us, understand its inherent fragility, and proactively prepare for the unthinkable, not with paralyzing fear, but with clear foresight and decisive action. Thank you for joining me on ATM for this critical discussion. See you tomorrow.